Okay. And even after you reached out with Orazio, you still got this superseding indictment, right? That charges you with the Celestine and Broussard murders, right? So now everything is in federal court, right? Yeah. And again, you are facing the death penalty for 3 murders, right? Yeah. I'm waiting for the Washington D.C. to come back and say if it's death penalty or not. Because when a murder come in the feds, that's the procedure it go on. It go 1st degree murder and it's the death penalty. So they got to wait for Washington D.C. to say whether or not I'm eligible for the death penalty. But it's not just a formality, right? You get an additional attorney when you're facing the death penalty, right? What? You got an additional attorney because you were facing the death penalty, right? Yeah. So it's not just a formality. It actually means something, right? Objection, Judge. Objection sustained. So it was in this situation where Breezy was cooperating against you, where you were charged with the death penalty, where you had confessed to 2 murders, 2 or 3 murders, and that's the situation that you found yourself in when you decided to start cooperating and join Team USA, right? Restate your question. You were facing the death penalty. You had confessed in an audio recording with a federal agent and you had run out of options. And that's when you decided that it was time to join Team USA, right? No. The reason why is, I know one thing. I wasn't worried about no phone calls. Breezy the one who pled out. So when Breezy pled out, that locked me in out the gate. It ain't about my phone calls. I could have got over that. But I felt as though that by Breezy pleading out, that locked me in. I'm not about to play games with these people, knowing that I know ain't no winning. I'm not going to be stupid. And during this time, you and Breezy are both over there at St. Charles, right? When Breezy got charged, he was in a hole. And, yeah, I was in a hole too, where I went to the hole too. But I didn't ever tell him, oh, I told on you, son. I didn't tell him that. You told him you didn't tell on him, right? Yeah. So you lied to Breezy. Breezy. And Breezy didn't tell you that he's working against you, right? Because he ain't never signed no plea agreement at that time. But you know that he was working on you, right? He was working against you, right? No, I didn't know nothing because Breezy had just came to jail. When he first came to jail, that's when he was in St. Charles for a few days. And I know Breezy. It was in the state. Breezy ain't about to plead out to no state. If it would have just stayed in the state, Breezy wasn't going to plead out to no state stuff. He was going to pay his way and manipulate his way through that. That's why I really prolonged to see if we could go with our move to get off them charges because it was in the state. But Breezy went with his move first because he's smarter. He know one thing, that every man for himself. So you and Breezy are locked up at various points together, lying to each other about whether you're cooperating against each other. Is that right? No, we ain't lying to each other because he ain't asked me and I ain't asked him. And then eventually you guys must have had a conversation where you were like, okay, I'm on Team USA, you're on Team USA, we're Team USA together, right? No. The detective tried to come see me and I denied to talk to him. And he was a state detective and I was in the state charge, so I didn't need no lawyer. I denied to talk to him. So he knew I was in the back by Breezy, I guess, by them listening to our phone calls. So I told him I don't know nothing and I don't know nothing about Breezy and this and that. I don't want to talk. So when I go back to the dorm, whatever, to the hole, they moved Breezy from by me. They sent him to St. Bernard. That's when I wrote Breezy and told him, like, son, listen, man, I told on you, son, but I am not going to go forward with it. I want to take my statement back. I want to tell them I lied on you because I don't want to see you in jail. But Breezy, he thinking that I am playing on him because he know that I am on serious charges. He thinking I am trying to do him what he just tried to do real. Him up to go to trial and go in on him. But I wasn't on that time because we was in the state, and I know one thing, we'll beat the state, they easy to beat. But when they brought it federal, I ain't about to play no games knowing that he signed. Okay, but your letter didn't work out because you're saying Breezy didn't trust you? No, that letter made him really go forward to cooperate because now he knew one thing, Rabbit in a world of trouble already, and he liable to go forward and come in on me. Okay. So you understood from him that actually he thought it was a great opportunity for him that you were in so much trouble? Objection, Judge. Objection sustained. Rephrase your question. After you reached out to Orazio, as you've recalled, to reach out to law enforcement, what happened next? When was the next time? Did you end up meeting with Mr. Wood again, or did they bring you in for another meeting at the round table? I don't know what month or what year you in. The same document that we just looked at a few minutes ago, from March 14th, 2014, where you requested that Mr. Orazio, would you like to see the document again? No, I am not saying that. I am just saying you said he asked me questions and I don't know what's on your paper. You talking about stuff that's on your paper, but not giving me no date or no time or how, you just asked me questions. I don't know that things that happened 3 years ago. So you ain't telling me, oh, this happened in 14. You just asked me a question thinking I'm going to just answer you. You appear to have such a good memory earlier. I do. In any event, objection. Objection sustained. Counsel, come on. Starting in March of 2014, you acknowledged that you had Orazio reach out to federal law enforcement, right? Yes. And you recognize that you're under oath when you're testifying when I am the lawyer asking you questions too, right? Objection. Asked and answered. Objection sustained. So after you had Orazio reach out for you, you heard back from Agent Wood, right? Or what happened? I don't even want to talk to Agent Wood no more. I hated Agent Wood. Okay. So what happened? I don't know. You don't know. So you don't recall the next time that you actually sat with federal law enforcement. That does not ring a bell? I don't know when I sat down and talked to them. I know my lawyer handled all of my business. So whatever happened, it went through my lawyer. Okay. So, but if my notes say that in June of 2014, you sat down with Agent Wood, Maurice Landrew, and Sharon Lieberman, along with your attorneys, would that ring a bell? Does that sound right? Just a couple of months later? In 2014? Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. And just like last time, you told them, I am telling the truth this time, right? Just like last time? Just like the prior times you talked to them, you told them you're telling the truth, right? On the phone? In the first debriefing. On the phone. On the phone, I lied to them. Okay. And at that first meeting with the FBI, you told them, but at that first meeting with the FBI, you told them you were going to be straight with them, right? Objection. Which meeting? At the meeting on June 20th, 2014, the first debriefing that I just described, you told them you were going to be straight with them this time, right? What date? June 20th, 2014, sir. I am trying to ask you, what date that was that I signed my plea agreement? I don't know. You signed your plea agreement according to the government's exhibit on July 14th, 2014. When is the date of this meeting? June 20th, 2014. A month before you signed your plea agreement. Yeah, we were negotiating. You were negotiating. Okay. And again, to repeat the same question, I don't think there's been an answer yet, so I hate to be redundant. You told them at this meeting that you were really telling the truth this time, right? I told them that I was willing to come down there to get things straight. Okay. And at that point, you told them about a lot of different murders, right? Yeah. But I believe it came up on direct examination that you, in that meeting where you said that you were finally coming clean, you said I did not have anything to do with the Magnolia Shorty murder and the Jerome Hampton murder. I didn't do that at all, right? What, in June 14th? Exactly. When I plead out in 14, you pled out a month later. So this is a month before you entered your guilty plea. No, I didn't say that. Okay. Alrighty. And then on June 14th, 2014, you signed your plea agreement, right? We already talked about that. July 14th, 2014. I am going to show it to you. This is the previously marked government's exhibit 288. Okay. Is this the document that you previously identified as your plea agreement? Yeah. And so there's no confusion. It was signed on July 14th, 2014, right? And do you see your own initials there on the bottom of the page? Yeah. And can you identify your signature on the final page of the document? Yeah. And you signed that willingly, voluntarily, everything, right? I what? You signed that willingly, right? I signed it because I wanted to. Okay. And it was signed by your 3 attorneys, Herb Larson, Sarah Johnson, and Steve Lemoyne, right? Yeah. And it was signed by Maurice Landrew, Sharon Lieberman from the U.S. Attorney's Office, right? Yeah. And then they had to have someone come in from the New Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office because it also related to those state charges, right? No. Take a look at the document. Maybe that would help you remember. Do you see, to my knowledge, when we signed that deal, me and my lawyer, we talked to them. That's why we had the meeting before, because we negotiated a deal with them to make sure that John and them don't cutthroat me again. That's why the state signed that paper, because the feds could have just said, all right, we ain't going to charge you for these murders, but play games and play 2 sides of the field and give my information to the state and let the state charge me. I wasn't about to let them just play me like that. So that's why we talked it out, negotiated, and told them we need the state to sign saying, all right, the state ain't going to charge me and the feds ain't going to charge me. Because if the feds just sign it and the state charge me, then the feds ain't play me, because the feds say, all right, we ain't going to charge you, but the state charge you. We don't got nothing to do with it. We wasn't about to let that go down like that. And then did you you personally meet with the DA's office or people from the DA's office? No, I'm talking about we talked it out with the federal. The federal had to do that. We just negotiated through the federal, and the federal got to handle their business however they handle it. So I'll go through some of these provisions just quickly, right? So when you went through this with Mr. Rainier, the agreement indicated that they would not seek the death penalty against you with this plea agreement, right? I just told you, I signed quick. Well, when I had just got charged with the murder is the process that it go on. It go 1st degree murder. But in the state, it was 2nd degree murder. Judge, sir, just answer the question. You're repeating yourself now. Just answer the question that he asked. He asked you a direct question. This paragraph that you easily and quickly identified when you were asked on direct about it refers to the fact that they're not going to seek the death penalty against you, right? Yes. Thank you. And then these, on the 2nd page, it outlines what you pled guilty to, right? Yes. And you pled guilty to the drug conspiracy, right? Yes. And the firearms conspiracy, right? Yeah. And you also pled guilty to the murders of Quelton Broussard, Calvin Celestine, and Gregory Keys, right? Yeah. And then it outlines, just again so the jury knows when you took this plea, though, you didn't know what your sentence would be, right? Maurice told me that he's pushing for life. Okay. Maurice told you that he is pushing for life, but that you would be able to work your way down, right? No. He said that it's a possibility. Paragraph said that it's up to the government to file a motion, but it's up to the judge to give me what they want to give me. The judge can say, no, that I ain't giving you shit. And now I am here. It's just a chance that I got to take. Okay. And so for that count 1, as we talked about before, because you were charged with a kilogram, you were facing a mandatory minimum of 10 years in prison, right? Yeah. Because it didn't drop to the lower quantity that you wanted, right? Because I wasn't responsible for that lower quantity. I was responsible for what I pled out to. Okay. Thank you. And then you got, with respect to count 2, it was a maximum penalty of 20 years, right? Yes. And then on the first count, the maximum penalty was life in prison, right? On the drug conspiracy. Yeah, the max was life. And then with respect to the 3 murders under 924J, you were subject to any term from 0 to life, right? Yeah. And in exchange for this, of course, the government agreed to dismiss certain counts. And then specifically, there is the language that the United States Attorney's Office, right, which refers to these lawyers, and the Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office, which refers to the lawyers prosecutors down on Tulane and Broad, Agree not to charge the defendant with any criminal violations or any incidents that the defendant specifically admits to in his federal factual basis, including the following murders or shootings. And then it lists these 9 murders and shootings, right? Yes. So it's your understanding, right, that you get a pass on each of these 9, right? No, I don't get a pass. The reason why I don't get a pass is because when a judge accepts my plea agreement, the judge is going to look at all of that. They're going to look at all of the murders that I was implicated in, all of the shootings I was implicated in. Then in Judge Brown's head, she could say, damn, this nigga tripping. Just put me over. It ain't that I got a pass. I didn't get charged with it, but they still got that in their head that I did these murders or was in with these murders. But you testified earlier that the reason why you're up on the stand is because you hope that doesn't happen, right? I got 4 life sentence. What don't happen? She maxed me out. I'm sorry. Your expectation is that you will someday be facing a sentence less than life, right? With your Rule 35. Isn't that correct? Yeah, that's what I hope. But in the interim, you will not be prosecuted for. And then, do you recall that these are 8 murders and 1 attempted murder, right? What you said?